In 1839, a group of children and men were captured in Africa and put on a ship to be enslaved in Cuba. They were then transferred to another ship, which was called La Amistad. They're able to obtain cane knives, and they create an insurrection and successfully take over the ship. They want the Spanish navigators to take the ship back to Africa. The Spanish navigators want to be able to take control of the ship again, perhaps get to a place like Charleston. They go up the Atlantic coastline to Long Island. The U.S. Navy takes the ship over and takes them to New London, where the first trial happens, and it's about whether or not the Navy captain can get paid for capturing the ship. The ultimate question is, are these people enslaved or not? The story of the Amistad was such a blockbuster story. It was in newspapers all over the country. People were coming to New Haven, and they actually wanted to see the captives. The South, on the other hand, was a bit apprehensive. They wanted to get these captives out of the country as soon as possible and squash this story so that people would not be motivated to think that there was any chance of them becoming free. William Townsend was a 16-year-old whose uncle was Amos Townsend, a member of the Amistad Committee. And he decided that he was going to go to the New Haven courtroom each day and to sit and draw members of the Amistad Captives. He drew a drawing of Kali, the young boy. He's wearing a knit cap. He has a pretty determined chin. Margru, the young girl, a bit more reserved. Grabo, Fule, Fune, the men who were also members of the captives. And what we see in the drawings is we see their dignity. They're not looking afraid. They're not looking worried. They are in charge of themselves. They have a sense of their own self-determination and worth. And they are representing themselves in this courtroom because in the beginning, certainly, they didn't have an interpreter for the Mende language. Josiah Willard Gibbs was a linguistic professor at Yale, and he was fascinated by the fact that the captives spoke the Mende language, which was not a language that he was familiar with. So he walks up and down streets and wharfs in New York City and other places. He had asked the captives to count, and so he was saying those Mende words, counting from like 1 to 10 as he's walking across, looking for somebody who will recognize that language. He finds James Covey, who is an apprentice on a wharf in New York City, and is able to convince the person who he's apprenticed to that James has the important task of interpreting for the Mende people so that the American courts can understand from their point of view what happened when they were captured. And the Supreme Court decision is the case that really determines that they are free people. They were illegally captured, and so therefore they are not slaves. And the Amistad Committee, black abolitionists, and black people in communities across the country raise money to send the Amistad captives, who are now free people, back home to Sierra Leone.